I am not the original poster OP. Just thought this one fit here. This is going to be a long one, and I'm not going to use fake names because the participants don't deserve anonymity. If they or their friends read this, it will be obvious who I'm talking about. First, the cast of characters. Me, 32-year-old male, middle manager in a large Fortune 25 company. Fairly career-oriented now, got my party days out of my system when I was younger. Alison, 31-year-old female. My girlfriend of 8 years, living together for the last 4. She is an office manager for a large veterinary practice. Also, my soulmate, best friend, teammate, partner in crime and future wife, so I thought. Leslie, 31-year-old female, Alison's lifelong friend since the 2nd grade. These girls are inseparable and do and share everything together. Dance classes when they were young, high school prom and homecoming. Alison was Leslie's maid of honor, sorority sisters in college, more like sisters than friends. Leslie is a physician assistant, PA. Vicky, 31-year-old female, great friends with Alison and Leslie. Another sorority sister from college. Not as close as the other two, but nobody really is. She is a constant companion to both Alison and Leslie. Vicky is an accountant for one of the big accounting firms. Brett, 30-year-old male, Leslie's recent husband after they dated for about 5 years. Decent enough guy, but I wouldn't call him a great friend. More like a very good acquaintance. Brett works for a large plumbing company that does sales and installation, primarily for large industrial and commercial systems. A bit of a party boy who doesn't necessarily take his career seriously and is a bit immature in my opinion. Jacob, 29-year-old male, Vicky's long-term boyfriend. They have been dating for about 4 years and living together for 1. Again, a nice enough fellow, but more similar to Brett in personality than me. Jacob is a landman who contracts out to oil and gas companies. To be honest, I'm not really sure what he does. I just know he travels a lot and makes pretty good money. Now the background. Alison and I met in college. She was everything I could ever want in a partner. Gorgeous, smart, funny, extroverted, and responsible. We didn't start dating until we both graduated and found we would be working in the same city. We made it official fairly quickly. I purchased a house, in my name only, 4 years into our relationship and moved in together. We had a great relationship, great communication, fantastic sex. We started making good money together, and most recently, with my salary plus bonus, plus her salary, we clear $350K per year, so we are very comfortable financially. Since it was my house and I made a lot more money, I paid the mortgage and most of the bills and I had no problem with that. I even paid off her student loans and her car note. She saved most of her money and built up quite a healthy 401k, which I was fine with. Hell, we were going to be married soon, so it was a moot point, or so I thought. During our relationship, we hung out with Leslie and Brett and Vicky and Jacob quite often. Dinners, bowling, pool halls, movie nights, backyard barbecues, skiing, lake getaways, etc. Early on, we went clubbing quite a bit, but Alison and I grew tired of that scene, so we don't do that very much at all now. The other 2 couples still club and party quite a bit. Like I said, I loved hanging out with Leslie and Vicky, and the guys were okay, but I never really got close with either of them. They were very good friends with each other though, but we were all friendly enough and got along great. Now onto the good stuff. Since we often do stuff as 3 couples, I was fine with the girls planning a 10-day trip to Cancun for the 6 of us. We were going to stay in a really nice high-end adults-only resort. Alison and I were really looking forward to the trip as we could both use the downtime, relaxation, and alone time. Unbeknownst to Alison, I was also planning to propose to her on this trip, and I had a ring waiting to give to her in Mexico. The week before the trip, wouldn't you know it, we had a crisis at work. My company needed me to stay. As is the policy in my company, if you have prepaid plans that need to be cancelled last minute for critical business reasons, the company will reimburse you. So I got reimbursed for my flight and resort fee. While I was disappointed, I explained to Alison and she understood. Since she was really looking forward to going and spending time with her friends, I encouraged her to go by herself and have a great time. I didn't tell her about the ring and figured I'd propose shortly after she returned. When the day came, I said goodbye and she took off for the 10-day trip. While she was there, I got a few obligatory texts and pics saying how much she missed me and wished I was there. Here's where the worm turns. On day 4 of the 10-day trip, I got a call from a very good friend of mine, David, saying he needed to talk to me. David is probably my closest friend and also works with Brett, and they are fairly good friends. Anyway, while in Mexico, I guess Brett called David to ask about some work stuff, and the conversation eventually turned to how the Cancun vacation was going. Brett proceeded to tell David that the trip was fulfilling some of his wildest sexual fantasies, that the 5 of them were engaging in all sorts of sexual exploits, including a group orgy. The dumb fuck, Brett, was stupid enough to document the activities and even sent some pics and videos to confirm his story, which David initially called bullshit. This is what David wanted to talk about. This next part is difficult for me to type since I have to relive some of the worst emotional pain I have ever felt. I met David and he got right into it, telling me exactly what was going on in Cancun with the 5 of them. Like David, I also called bullshit and thought he was fucking with me until he said he has some proof that might be hard for me to see. I got super serious really quick and my stomach flip-flopped. He showed me his phone. While I won't get into all the sordid details, suffice it to say, his story was confirmed and I was broken to my core. Among the stuff he showed me, there were several pictures of Allison getting spit roasted by Brett and Jacob, pictures of her having anal sex while eating Leslie's pussy, and a short video of the 3 girls having a very enthusiastic lesbian threesome. I don't know, devastated seems too light a word to describe my emotions. The crazy thing is we had talked about female-female-male threesomes before and she always refused, saying she just wasn't into girls. She also knows one of my deepest fantasies was to watch her make love to another woman. She always laughed and said that was never going to happen. I decided then and there, obviously, that we were done. I asked David to send the pictures and videos to me in case I needed to confront her with the proof. Over the next few days, I packed as much of her stuff as I could into a bunch of boxes and stacked them in the living room. I had a locksmith re-key the locks on 4 doors into the house, and then just sat back and waited for her to return. After the trip, she was scheduled to come home late on a Monday night, landing at around 11 p.m. Since it was late, she told me not to worry about picking her up. She would Uber home. I just sat in the living room with a bourbon and waited. About 12:30 a.m., I heard her key wiggling unsuccessfully in the lock. After several attempts, she rang the doorbell. There is a window right next to the front door, and I opened that window a few inches. She asked what was going on and to let her in. I just said she was never stepping foot in my house ever again. We were through, and to get the fuck off my stoop. She was honestly dumbfounded, yelling, "Why am I doing this?" I said, "If you don't know, you are a fucking idiot, on top of being a whore and a liar." She got silent. She knew I knew. She started sobbing, begging me to let her in, saying let her explain, she just wants to talk, etc., etc., etc. I told her, forget it, it's not happening, and she's not coming in. Through her sobs, she asked me where she was supposed to go. I told her I left her keys in her car and told her to go back and live with her fuck buddies, and I closed the window, blocked her number, turned on some music, and sat down and just zoned out. About 10 minutes later, I saw her car back out of the driveway. About 45 minutes after she left, I got a call from her older brother James, who lives in the same city and is fairly close to Allison. James is a great guy, a good friend, and someone who I respect and enjoy being around. He told me Allison showed up on his doorstep crying hysterically and saying she fucked up. James really didn't get any of the details from Allison, but he let her in and told her she could stay as long as she needed. He is recently divorced, so he has a spare bedroom. James asked what happened. I told him everything and forwarded him some of the pictures and videos. I never heard a man get so quiet so quickly. He asked me what my plan was, and I told him she is out of my house and out of my life, and that she needs to be out of the house by the end of the weekend. He said he understood and was so sorry for me and so embarrassed by his sister's actions and that I deserved so much better. He then said he would help her get all of her stuff out of my house by the end of the week, and I just needed to tell him when, and he would be there. I told him I would text him in the morning. The next few days were pretty chaotic. I felt like I was living in a fog or a bad dream. Allison blew up my phone for the first few days until I turned it off and went dark on social media. I contacted several close friends and family members and gave them a very brief explanation that Allison cheated on me and we broke up. Most of them were shocked, as they thought we were the perfect couple. I then contacted Leslie's and Vicky's significant others. I felt they needed to know. Jacob basically gave me a big verbal shrug and said they had an open relationship, so it wasn't a big deal to him. He appreciated me telling him, but it was all good on his end. I didn't see that one coming, but whatever. Brett, on the other hand, was not as nonchalant. He was pissed. I met Brett and showed him the same stuff I saw. He was livid. While he had no issues with an open relationship, he did have a problem with the whole orgy thing and Allison's involvement, so now he and Leslie are going through a rough patch, and the last I heard, they are considering divorce. He has since moved out and living with his parents for the time being. Good riddance. As for me, I'm doing okay, I guess. I never realized how emotionally fragile I am. I cried a lot, and then got super angry. Then cried again. I went and saw my doctor and got some medication to help me with my anxiety and depression. I am thinking of also seeing a therapist, but I just can't seem to pick up the phone and make the appointment. I'm embarrassed to say that the thought of ending it all did cross my mind more than once. But David has been a godsend and never lets me wallow in my self-pity for too long. He is always dragging me out to do stuff to get my mind off everything. I also got rid of the ring, thank God for a 100% refund policy, and am now considering selling the house since it just holds too many bad memories for me. It just feels tainted somehow. I don't know what the future holds, but I am hopeful I will heal from this and become stronger for it. Anyway, sorry for the long rant. I just wanted to get my story out there and maybe get some good advice from those of you who went through a similar situation. Thanks for reading. Wow, this was a crazy story. Thank you to the person who reposted this. I hate cheaters. I'm happy you had a friend near you to help you through the struggles. Okay, let's get people's opinions about this crazy story. Oh man, this may be one of the hardest stories I've come across on this subreddit to date. I am so unbelievably sorry for what just happened to you. Not only were you betrayed in the worst possible way, but you also learned that your entire relationship was a lie on top of it. You have no obligation to ever speak to any of them again. Nobody here will think you're an asshole for it. And I understand you not caring to give her closure. That kind of betrayal actually gave me a visceral response. I'm legitimately disgusted on your behalf. I've been betrayed myself, which took 2 years to get over, and that was just a make-out session with one guy and an emotional affair with another, same time period. I thought I'd never recover, but I'm getting there. If my wife had done what your wife did, I'd probably break. Like actually die. Please, if you haven't yet, contact a therapist. There's no way you're going to survive this alone. Please take care of yourself. Give yourself all the time you need. Take some time off without getting back into the dating world. Your next relationship won't begin in a healthy place, and you're going to need a lot of work to be able to learn to trust again. So the reposter did respond to this one. Again, I'm not the OP, so there won't be any updates. The user who posted this originally has deleted his account. I just saw this story in r/AITAH and thought it fit better here. Since the original poster's account is gone, I didn't think it would be a problem. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Subscribing will help the channel.